Hello and welcome to a new guide on Rakan, and in this guide I'm going to be covering everything that you need to do to take your Rakan to the next level, and I'm going to be covering his abilities, combos, build, rune setup, spells, tips and tricks for playing Rakan in the early, mid, and late game, how to play him in the laning phase properly, counters to Rakan and who does Rakan counter and who should you pick him into. I'm going to be covering everything in this guide, and I know this guide is a bit longer than the other guides on YouTube. However, I promise you that you're going to get the most value from your time, and if you watch this full guide on Rakan, I promise you that you're going to learn a lot of things that you probably didn't know before watching this guide, and you're going to be able to climb with Rakan to the elo that you want, whether that be Diamond, Master, Challenger, whichever elo you want. You'll definitely get there if you follow the tips and tricks in this guide. So even though these guides are a bit longer than the other guides on YouTube, I promise you that it's going to be worth your time. And if you do enjoy my guides, please leave a like and subscribe, because it really does help me out and encourage me, and these guides do take a while to make. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So for Rakan's first skill, it's just a skill shot that deals some magic damage, and this can be used to poke in lane. If you do manage to hit this skill shot, you will gain a heal, like an AoE heal around yourself that will heal yourself and allies for a bit of health. The health that you gain from this heal isn't too much, but if you start hitting this skill shot consistently, it will provide you with a significant amount of heal over the course of the laning phase. So next we have Rakan's second skill, which allows him to dash to a certain area, and after a short period of time after his dash, he will have a knockup that will be an AoE knockup to enemy champions. This skill is great for his combos and for CCing so that his ADC can follow up. So Rakan's third skill is a dash. The dash allows him to go onto any allied champions, and it actually increases, the dash speed increases with Rakan's movement speed. Also, the dash can be recasted in the next 5 seconds after for another dash, and you can only dash twice, but this is a great tool for engaging onto enemy champions or disengaging off enemy champions. Dashing towards an ally champion will also provide a shield, so that's also good to note. Dashing through also put you behind them after you're done with your dash, so that's also important to know. Lastly, we have Rakan's ultimate, which is the quickness. It allows him to charm enemies that he is nearby, and after he charms the first enemy, it will give him a burst of movement speed that will decay over 4 seconds. So for Rakan's first combo, it's just a level 3 combo that you can do in lane, and that's pretty tricky because it sometimes comes as a surprise to enemies if they don't know how to play against Rakan. So how it works is that you're going to be behind your ADC just to bait the enemies so that they think that they're safe or they think that they can engage. And then after that, you can go in onto your ADC and then go and use your knockup onto the enemies and do an auto attack and your first skill, and then get out by dashing through your ADC again. And this combo works even better with Xayah because you can stand way back and still be able to dash towards her. So a really tricky combo that you can do with Rakan is if you're in Fog of War and there's a wall, then you can use your ult and then flash over the wall and then charm multiple enemies, and then use your second skill to knock them all up, and then use your third skill to dash away. And this will be surprising to your enemies, and then you'll be able to CC them all as well as knock them all up so that your teammates can follow up. If you get this combo off on just a couple characters and you have a fed ADC or someone that can burst them down, then this is basically guaranteed win in the team fight. Alright, so Rakan's combo that he wants to be using when he wants to be joining a team fight as soon as possible and just gap close on enemies as quick as possible is using first his third skill on his ally champion to get closer to the enemies, and then you have to flash first before your second skill because the range can't be extended with flash after you use your second skill. So you have to flash first and then use your second skill to knock them all up. And something that you can do is you can also use your ult before using your second skill to charm everyone. So you'll basically have a huge CC on enemies with this combo. Alright, so now we're going to be doing Rakan's build. So for his first item, you want to be going Zeke's Convergence, especially if the Dragon Lane duo is a split between AD and AP, or the enemy team comp in general is a split between AD and AP, because this item is great against that. This item will also give you some max mana and ability haste, but the main reason you're buying this is for the impact that it will give on your ultimate. The passive on this item is great for making your ultimate much more impactful and helping your Dragon Lane duo out. So the next item that you want to buy after Zeke's Convergence is your boot item. So the boot item that I recommend going for is either Merc Treads or Ninja Tabi. If the enemy team has lots of CC or lots of magic damage, then of course you want to be going Mercury Treads. If the enemy team is mostly AD, or you're having trouble laning against your Dragon Lane duo, which are both AD, then taking Ninja Tabi isn't too bad of an idea. The other boot item that you can be going under certain circumstances is the Ionian boots, which will give you some cooldown reduction. So those are the three boots that you want to be taking in consideration. The enchant that you want to buy on top of that boot is completely up to you. There's a bunch of different enchants that you can go for, but the ones that I recommend you go for on Rakan is, the first one that you can go for is Locket. And this is when you see that the enemy team comp has damage that can go to a bunch of different people. So if there are like lots of AoE abilities or just champions that like to dish out damage onto your entire team, then you want to be going Locket. However, if you need more engage and you need to become more tanky because your team doesn't have a tank on their team or your team needs more engage, I highly recommend taking Stone Plate because this will help you sustain more and help the damage that you take to be reduced. The other two enchants that you can be going for is either Protobelt for the extra dash, or you can be going for Redemption for the heal. So those are the four enchants that I recommend. You can take other ones, however those are the four that work best with him, and the enchant that you take is really up to your personal taste and the enemy team comp. The next item that you want to be going for is either Harmonic Echo or Ardent Sensor. So Harmonic Echo will be giving you more ability power as well as max mana and cooldown reduction. The passive on this ability will allow you to heal your allies once you have enough stacks on this item. The other item that you can be going for is Ardent Sensor. This will give you more max health but slightly less ability power. The passive on this item will give you movement speed after you shield an ally. So after you using your third skill, you will be getting a burst of movement speed as well as some extra bonus magic damage after you use that. So this will help you in your combos when you try to engage on enemy teams. The item that you want to be going after that is a defense item, and this item that you want to be taking is completely situational. Against teams that have heavy AD, you want to be going items with more armor. Protector's Vow works extremely well with Rakan, and the passive on this item will help you engage more, and it will also give you a bunch more sustain. However, if the enemy team is AP, then of course you want to be taking items with MR. So the last two items that you are going to be getting are completely situational and up to you. If you don't know how to pick out situational items and how to build your champion properly, then I have an itemization guide where I go over tank items and how you're supposed to choose those kind of items. The link is just in the description below, and it should be on the screen right now, so you can go click on that if you need help with that. Alright, so the spells that you want to be going with Rakan is, first, you always want to be taking Flash, because it goes with your combos, and also the versatility and mobility that it provides. You can engage and disengage with this spell. It's just an overall great spell to have in your kit. So the second spell is the one that really matters, and this is a spell that's pretty situational. For against healing, you want to be taking Ignite because of the grievous wounds effects that it applies. Also, so that if you do go all in, you have that extra bit of damage to finish people off, and also impair their healing so they can't heal through it. It's also great against supports like Soraka who want to be healing their ADCs. Another spell that you can be taking is Barrier, and this is when you're up against more burst. Let's say that the enemy team has more burst and you need that extra sustain, especially when you're engaging into an enemy team comp and you're afraid that you're just going to get bursted down. Taking Barrier is a great option if your team doesn't have another tank and you need that extra sustain. Another spell that you can be taking is Heal, and this will give you a movement speed boost for you and your ally. You can take this spell if you are more comfortable with Heal than taking Barrier. However, if you are going to be the main engage on your team, then I would recommend taking Barrier over Heal. The last spell that you can be taking is Exhaust, and this will help you hit your knockup more easier and slow down enemy champions to get easy picks. So those are the spells for Rakan. Alright, so now I'm going to be giving you Rakan's game plan and what he wants to do in the laning phase, in the mid game, and late game. So for the laning phase, you want to be using your first skill to sustain. And while the heal that you get from it might not seem like a lot, it does add up over time, so do keep that in mind. The second tip that I have for you is when you are trading in lane, don't trade with ranged supports if you don't have your first skill up. Rakan's auto attack range is longer than most melee supports, however it's just not reliable enough to go for those trades if you don't have your first skill up. If you do have your first skill up, then you can go for trades as the heal will help you win the trade. My third tip in the early game is when you get engaged, focused on the ADC rather than focusing down the support. You want to be trying to get to the enemy ADC and make sure to knock them up. If they are a mobile ADC, for example like Ezreal, then wait till they use their dash or blink, so that right after they use them, then they have no escape tool to escape your combo. So another tip that I have for you is to try to engage when the enemy ADC is auto attacking. When an enemy auto attacks, that makes them immobile for a split second, and when they do that, it'll be much easier to land your combo. So another tip that I have for you and something that you can do is standing behind your ADC, so that when the enemy team thinks that they're safe, when the enemy duo thinks that they're safe and they think that you can't get to them, then you can dash to your ADC and engage on them using your second skill and just be able to combo them even though they might think that they are safe. And this works especially well with Xayah because of the extended dash range when you are paired with her. The last tip that I have for you is to roam in the early game. You want to be roaming especially to the mid game and helping your jungler out. Also, if you see any opportunities, don't hesitate to do so because you can really impact the game even in the early stage when you are pretty weak compared to the other stages of the game. So from the mid to late game, you're going to be looking to team fight a bit more, and since you are an engaged support, that is pretty squishy. You need to wait for the right opportunity to engage. So you want to be making sure that everything is prepared, and especially you want to be looking at the minimap to make sure that your team is ready to follow up, because as a support, Rakan only has one shot to really engage onto the enemy after he uses ult and his first skill. He's pretty much useless and he can't engage again because again he's also really squishy. So when you do engage, make sure that it counts and that your team is ready to follow up and you are ready to engage. And when you do all of that, then you can really carry team fights and win them pretty easily with your CC and your charm. So that pretty much wraps up this video. If you did make it this far into the video, please leave a comment so I can give you a shout out. Shout out to these people who did make it to the end of my video and watched all the way through. It really does help me out a lot, and it really warms my heart that people do watch my guides and do watch the entire thing, because I spend a lot of time editing the videos and just doing research and thumbnail and everything for the guide. I actually woke up at around 4:30 this morning to get this guide prepared for you guys. Even though the champion releases at 8, I do wake up 3 to 4 hours before just so I can be prepared, make sure everything's okay, pre-record some stuff. You know what I'm talking about. So it does take a lot of effort and time to make these guides. I would really appreciate if you leave the like, and if you do enjoy these guides, please subscribe, as it does encourage me and help the channel out a lot. I am planning to do a special giveaway event for 300 subscribers, so subscribe if you do not want to miss out on that. We are extremely close, and so with that being said, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and I will probably be doing a Xayah guide sometime in the future. If you do want to see that, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. And with that being said, I will see you soon. Bye!